Alrighty. Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 13. Thank you guys all who've been tuning in. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. TikTok, YouTube. Just running up.
Follow me on Twitter.
Yes,
Angry
Twitter.
Fan Tommy.
Facebook, all that. You'll find us. I do reels and all that stuff. I'm trying to, once the Super Bowl passes, I'll do more Bears news. There's just not a lot going around. But today we're going to touch base on the Bears cap and what their hard number is going to be for this offseason. Justin Fields and the ESPN Top 100, where he lands, free agency, Bears front office, and then we'll kind of recap. We won't go too much into the games, but what happened, the wild card games, the crazy referee, and all that good jazz. But you were telling me earlier today that the salary cap number was finally revealed for everybody. You said they thought it was going to be 220, right? And it's 190 or something.
No, yeah. So they set the hard cap at 224.8 million. That's across the league. They thought it was going to be a little bit higher, but it wasn't. So the Bears early projections was 110, 120 million. Now they're going to sit at about 92 million. That includes all the future contracts and incentives. It doesn't include any of the cuts that may or may not happen, restructures, of course, Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair, stuff like that. But just knowing that that's changed now. So 110, 120 million was what the initial projection was, going down to 92. Does that change, in your opinion? Does that change the Bears' free agency spending in the offseason? Or
I mean, well, it went down relative to everybody else too. So everybody's went down. Everybody thought they were going to have like 30 more than they're going to have, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it changes much. I mean, I guess we can't go super crazy because we can't like give somebody 30 mil because, I mean, in reality, he needs that money to just fill the roster out in general. So we're going to have a whole new complete defense. We got to get a linebacker, a whole D-line, at least two linebackers, maybe a DB depending on Eddie Jackson. But like you said, I'm pretty confident Eddie Jackson will restructure his deal. He seems pretty content to stay in Chicago, and he's not playing up to what we're paying him. And like he just knows. Well, he just knows if he doesn't, he's going to get cut. So, I mean, what's the point? Is get cut. And big cut's going to be a restructure, too. Nobody's going to re-sign you to a $18 million deal. So,
yeah, he's on the books for 17 mil. And, we'll talk a little bit more in terms of other teams, cap casualties at the end of the episode. As part of a factor cap, as well as like a would you rather kind of thing, because there's a couple of names that have been brought up in terms of cap casualties that might give interest. One in particular is very interesting. You mentioned it earlier, the man who we traded in the offseason, the Chargers. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You brought up Justin Fields being on the ESPN's top 100 going into next year. He landed at number 77. I think that's a fair assessment based on how he was this year. Mostly just running the ball, being a game changer on the ground, not so much through the air yet. We are hoping that steps up. But looking forward, when ESPN releases this list next year, where do you want Justin to fall? Realistically speaking, where do you want him to be? He's the only Bear on this list, by the way. So not only
that's not surprising whatsoever.
Not only that. So not only do I want to talk about where Justin Fields is going to be at next year, how many Bears realistically, because obviously the whole team can't be on there, but how many Chicago Bears do you want to see on that list next year?
Justin, I would say realistically, definitely top 50. But I'm hoping, depending on how our free agency moves, I'd say top 25. That's where I would hope. Like, he's going to be a dual threat quarterback. I know he doesn't plan on rushing for 1,000 yards again, but he's still going to put up, just off the strength, 500 to 800, I would guess, just with ease. And if he takes another step, passes for over 3,000 yards, and he had a pretty good TD interception ratio. He threw a few bad ones, which is crazy. If he didn't throw those terrible ones, it's just like he would have been a nice solid year. His completion percentage is rising. It should be higher, but I think he can be a top 25 player. And I think, you know what I mean, year 5 when we were re-signing him to his max, he'll probably be like a top 15 player in the league. Just how it's a quarterback league, and he's going to be runs a 4.40, a 3
That's
to
what
4.
you're hoping for.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
That's that's high end.
I see more Josh Allen than I see Jalen Hurts.
But is that an issue though? Because Jalen Hurts seems like he protects the football a little bit better than Josh Allen.
Yeah, but being safe only, you know what I mean? He's also on a really good team. I mean, you could be safe, protect the football you want, but at the end of the day, your quarterback got to make plays. Like Tom Brady is great, and you could at times he was called a game manager, but he, you know what I mean? When plays were needed to be made, he makes them as well. And again, nothing against Jalen. Even in that game they won, I guess everybody got hurt, and it was kind of just like a weird game. It's just I don't see it. I just think if Purdy played, it would have been a lot different of a game. They would have put a lot more pressure on him. I think the quarterback getting hurt basically won them the game. The energy got sunk out of or they had all the energy. But again, I don't want to talk about Jalen. I'm not trying to talk shit about him because I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good kid, and I like that he transferred schools, went somewhere else. He didn't just quit. He graduated, 5th year transfer. You know what I mean? Worked his way back up and almost became, you know what I mean? And pretty much better than Tua, even though Alabama didn't think he was. But I just think Justin Fields is much more Josh Allen than Hurts. He's just faster. He's got a liver arm. And like I said, Hurts is an athlete, and he's a good runner above that, but he's not like those guys. Like the way he moves and big body.
Well, I'd agree with you. Top 50 next year, definitely. I don't see him regressing. No. Next year, I can only see an increase. Obviously you got new talent coming in next year as well with the draft coming up, but next year definitely top 50. Like you said, year 5, when he's about to sign that, obviously he's got to take another step up. Best case scenario, he's in the top 20, top 25 when we go ahead and try to reach that deal. In terms of how many other Bears I want to see, I'm pretty sure Philadelphia led the list this year in terms of top 100 players on ESPN's list, but with no talent on the team now, no talent on the roster, obviously we got to find some through the draft, free agency trades, whatever. I'm expecting to see 3 to 5 Bears on top of Justin Fields next year.
That's a lot.
I figured Jaquan Brisker, he's already one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say that's who I would say for sure. I think he'll be even maybe Sanborn just because he plays the whole year.
If Jack Sanborn
he'll just have the stats.
He would have led the league in tackles throughout a 16-game stretch or 17-game stretch. Sorry, he would have led the league in tackles by a landslide if you took the small sample size that he had and spread it over average-wise over 18 weeks. Obviously, it's not sustainable every single week. But
he'd be close. He would have been a top. Yeah.
Maybe we get one of the top tackles in the draft in Peter Skoransky or
in the free agency.
They turn out to be tanks, or in free agency. You know what I'm saying? So there's players available there. So I do expect 3 to 5 Bears to be in that top 100 list next year. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but it's also plausible. You're hoping that the Bears take that step because you want them to be competitive next year. You want them to compete for a wild card spot. We're not expecting division title winners. It's possible, but not likely. But I found that 7 to 9 win range to be more, doable. And I think with 3 to 5 top 100 players, that's definitely going to help them out.
Yeah.
We just talked about free agency. So perfect world scenario for you. You're the GM of the Chicago Bears. You have $92 million in cap space. Who are your top three absolute must-haves if you're signing free agent contracts for the Bears this year?
Definitely Payne. But I don't know if they're going to tag him out. But I'll say just Payne in a perfect world. Orlando Brown Jr. and Devin Bush. I think he has got a lot of potential. Another Michigan guy, I really liked him. But I try not to be too biased. I just thought he always had game. I don't know if just wasn't putting 2 and 2 together in Pittsburgh, but I think he'll be a good linebacker to pair with Sanborn, and I don't think his price will be too high. And I just think he's got a high ceiling. And I'm pretty positive Pittsburgh is going to let him walk.
Yeah, I mean, perfect world scenario. I have Darren Payne on mine as well. I'd be okay with Javon Hargraves. I really would. That's
Mhm.
like a, 1A, 1B for me in terms of defensive linemen. But I kind of changed my stance on Orlando Brown Jr. a little bit. So I realistically think that they're either going to draft a tackle if they fall back far enough, or they're going to sign a right tackle like Mike McGlinchey or the kid from Baltimore. I know he's a free agent too. He's very freakishly athletic for a
Yeah.
tackle. Horrible pass grade, but one of the best run blockers in the league at right tackle. And I know, we're trying to throw the ball a little bit more, but you can always kind of maybe see if you can coach him up on the passing a
I
little
was going to
bit.
say pass game is much. I think is much easier to coach up than run game, in my opinion. Just because
Yeah,
run game's more like just tenacity. I've never been like a crazy run blocker, and I just feel like I know what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just there's guys that just like you know what I mean. They're just better at it, and I think pass blocking is just more of a technique and practice and doing it over and over and over again. So I like if that's the knock against him, I'm fine with
yeah. The kid from Baltimore,
kick
I
it
forget
tired.
his name. He's 26 or 27, but he's freakishly athletic.
They need to
Um,
focus on more so the actual offensive linemen in this free agency period. They need to go get a top tier offensive line coach
yes,
because blocking it's just not players. It's a philosophy. It's not just the linemen. The quarterback's got to be in on it. The running backs got to be on it. They all got to be working together as a unit. I think they need the right offensive coordinator or offensive line coach to get them all in sync because blocking's a team thing. It's easy when everybody's in tune. It looked like I said, the 49ers do it good. Like you can tell some teams are like, what the fuck? Like it just looks like it's perfect because they're all working together. And I think the Bears is just a lot of people not paying attention. And Justin Fields is one of them. I think he doesn't look at his hot reads. I mean, I won't get up too much on a tangent, but I saw a crazy stat that I wrote down in my notes. Justin Fields only checked down the ball 8 times or some shit like that.
that's that's rough.
That's and
That's
they're
rough.
there. And again, I mean, there'll be another episode where we go in. Like I said, I think that'd be something good. We just go talk about what we don't like about Justin Fields because I do sing his praises a lot, and I like him. And as a football player, I think I see where there's a lot of room to grow. The bad things he does aren't these uncoachable, unfixable things. So I tend to like let it slide. And he's just on a bad team. But to hear that he only checked the ball down 8 times, whatever, like we need those. Like they're there. You know, that's what we got to get good at. That's what Joe Burrow's doing. That's what fucking Patrick Mahomes is doing. Yeah, he makes the crazy plays and you know what I mean? But there's 25 other plays where he just hikes the ball and throws it to the guy who's wide open. Like
Yeah,
and I think Justin needs to focus on that next year. That's a step he needs to take, the hot reads and helping the offensive line by seeing all that beforehand. Like I said, I don't know how much of the leash he's got either. I don't know if he's supposed to be making checks. I don't know if the checks are on the coach. So, but I'm guessing next year it's going to be all his show.
probably. The third name I have on this list, you talked about linebacker. I have Tremaine Edmunds. I picked Tremaine Edmunds over Lavonte
I
David
like him.
because
Yeah.
age, obviously, and
Yes.
probably cap number will be a little bit lower as
David's
well.
not coming us either. He's going to a contender, is my guess.
Yeah, so
I
I mean,
think
I have
Tremaine's a
Tremaine
better.
Edmunds. The reason why I don't have an edge on the free agency list is because I really firmly believe that if we fall to 4, and we're gonna pick Will Anderson, only because I know a team's gonna trade up to 3 and get a quarterback, but also I was looking at the edge and defensive end free agents, and there's only like one name really stands out to me in terms of age and fit, and that's Yannick from
Mhm.
Indianapolis. He had 10 sacks this year.
Did he really? That's not bad.
Yeah, he had 10 sacks this year. He's a pretty decent player. He was like the only one. So, I mean, it could be possible. Yeah, Marcus Davenport. I know I
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know.
talked about him a little bit, but he only had 1 sack this year. It's that ceiling, that potential ceiling is very high for Marcus
Yeah, those
Davenport.
guys are
But
ass.
I would take Yannick over Davenport at this point. So yeah, my 3: Darren Payne, McGlinchey, and Tremaine Edmunds. Only because I just feel like if you have Tremaine Edmunds and Jack Sanborn, um, it
That's fair.
you
Tremaine
can
nice.
draft a linebacker or sign like another linebacker, like a kind of like a third tier linebacker at that point, and you still got a pretty good front seven. If you're signing Darren Payne, you're getting Will Anderson in the draft, you're signing Yannick as a possibility. It's there. So there's a lot of holes on this roster, not just on defense, but offense as well.
Everywhere.
A lot of money to spend. We're going to have a lot of draft capital. They will fill those needs. It may not be to our liking this year. They're going to have some money next year to spend as well. So we'll see what happens. I was going through this and I was just kind of looking, and I through Twitter, I hear a lot on the radio, Facebook, stuff like that. How confident, and we want to hear from you guys on this too, in our comment sections and stuff like that, about how confident you are in the Bears front office to draft quality offensive players. We're going to do a Bears by the number segment. So this week we're going to do Bears offensive players that the Bears have drafted rounds 1 and 2 since the year 2000. Next week, we're going to do rounds 3 and 4. The week after that, we'll do, 5, 6, 7, and then we'll switch it over to defense, because I want to know your confidence scale on a scale of 1 to 10, because this is why Bears fans in general don't really have confidence in Bears front office. Things have changed. Ryan Poles seems like he's got a competent head on his head, and we have Kevin Warren now, new Bears president and CEO. So, you ready for this? You ready for this list of names, Sean?
Yes.
All right. So, since the year 2000, rounds 1 and 2, these are the offensive players the Bears have drafted. In the year 2000, 1 and 2, they took defense. So we'll talk about that later another time.
It was Urlacher, right? It was Urlacher.
Yeah, they got Urlacher and Mike Brown.
Okay.
So, 2001, they went all Michigan in rounds 1 and 2. They took David Terrell, number 8, and they took Anthony Thomas, number 35. In 2002, with the 29th pick, they took Mark Colombo. In 2003, with the 22nd pick, they took Rex Grossman. In 2005, with the number 4 overall pick, they took Cedric Benson. Also, with the 39th pick in that draft, they took wide receiver Mark Bradley. In 2006, I put Devin Hester here because they took him at number 57, even though technically he was a special teams player. And in Miami, didn't he play corner? But they have him here listed as wide receiver because they tried to make him into a wide receiver.
Well, he played corner for the Bears for the first, 2 years maybe? Yeah, he played corner. He was just terrible.
Oh, yeah. 2007, pick 31, they took Greg Olson. 2008, pick 14, they took Chris Williams. Pick 44 in that same year, they took Matt Forte. In 2011, pick 29, they took Gabe Carimi. They didn't have first-round picks in 09 and 10 because of the Jay Cutler trade. 2013, pick number 20, they took Kyle Long. 2014, they went defense. 2015, with the 7th overall pick that year, they took Kevin White.
That one.
2016, with the 56th overall pick in that draft, they didn't have they went defense first round, they took Cody Whitehair. 2017, with the number 2 overall pick, they took Mitch Trubisky. With the number 45 pick in that same draft, they took Adam Shaheen. 2018, 39th pick, they took James Daniels. They didn't have a first-round draft pick in 19 and 20 because of the Khalil Mack trade. But in 2020, second-round pick number 43, they took Cole Kmet. And in 2021, they took Justin Fields with the 11th overall pick, Tevin Jenkins at the 39th overall pick. And last year, they took defense because they didn't have a first-round pick. They went to the second round, and they got 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, Briscoe.
All those names that I just listed off, offensive talent, first and second rounds, doesn't seem like there's a lot of competency there. I mean, obviously, there's a couple of names that stand out that were pretty good picks.
I was going to say it wasn't as bad as I was going to thought. There were a few good years. I just think, there were some – they just had some bad years. And not only – and what also stings, it's like it's one thing to draft a bust, but it's another thing to draft a bust at over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes,
especially after what Patrick Mahomes Sr. said on 6
he said the Bears told Mahomes that he was going to take him, which is crazy, man. I'm a big draft guy. I love the draft. You guys will see when the Super Bowl's over and they start getting into it, it consumes me. And I really didn't hear shit about Patrick Mahomes. I heard somebody might trade up late first to get him. Andy Reid trading up to what they trade up 13 or 11 or something. I forgot, something like that.
The Chiefs 10.
10. Yeah, I thought it was in the teens, but either way, they came up and that was a shock. I wasn't hearing anything, but it always blew my mind the Bears didn't take Deshaun Watson. It's still to this day I don't understand. And it's one of those things where it's like I try not to, you know what I mean, be like conspiracy black quarterback, but it's like, what were they think? Like there's no reason. Like it's not like he's Lamar Jackson and he was running all over the place. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a running back. Like he was a legitimate the legitimate best quarterback in college football. He shit on Alabama 2 years in a row. Basically an a defense full of NFL players. I mean, an offense too, but literally every single player on the Alabama defense, especially at that time, was going to the NFL. It was going to be like a top, or you know what I mean, one of the first 3 rounds get taken. Like, and he literally shit on him. He's like, you know what, I'm going to take this kid from North Carolina who's only played for 1 year and fucking sucks. It's like,
yeah, I mean, that's Ryan Pace's legacy.
Yes, and he had okay. I thought he was a decent GM, and it's like that will forever haunt him because that was one of possible top 10 worst pick ever, at least. I'd say it's up there, and maybe top 5 or 3 if you work in who. It was like there was multiple other quarterbacks who were clearly better than him. It wasn't like the Ryan Leaf. What was it? Peyton Manning, right? It was Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning. Like Ryan Leaf was really fucking good. Like it wasn't like he was some bum who was like, oh, he's just got the measurables. Like, he was really good. He just was a bust. Like, but fucking
Marcus Russell.
Yeah, like this guy, that was a bad pick because I don't know, he wasn't that good. He wowed at the combine. And
his size was just incredible.
Yeah, he was a big guy, and his combine was good because I don't remember him being that crazy good at LSU either. But he was huge, and he had he could throw it like 90 yards or some shit.
I'll still never forget the story about when they gave him a blank DVD of and told him it was the.
He says that's a lie. I remember he went on some podcast and said that was a lie.
There's so many people that dictate that or that contradict that saying that that's not a lie. That I kind of believe that would be something that would happen. But just taking a look at this list, right? There's a couple of names that stand out for me. Obviously, we talked about it. So Anthony Thomas was, he was serviceable for a couple of years.
That was when running backs had like a 3-year shelf life.
Yeah. Matt Forte in 2008. Obviously, Greg Olsen at 31. Alshon Jeffrey at 45. Back in 2012, that was a good pick. He didn't stay healthy.
But he was a good player.
He didn't want to be a Bear. No. But realistically, they saw the talent in him. He was a really good player. I'm surprised he fell to 45 that year.
Yeah, he gained a bunch of weight, right, or something like that. He was supposed to be a top 5 pick, but he gained like 30 pounds and 40 pounds or something in between the end of the season and the draft, and everyone was afraid he would just didn't care.
And then that same draft, the Mitchell Trubisky draft, when they drafted Adam Shaheen at 45, and obviously the Bears aren't the only ones that passed up on him because he was a 4th-round pick, but George Kittle. George Kittle being a 4th-round pick, you pick Adam Shaheen at 45, you're like, oh, that's rough. I had no idea who George Kittle was. One of the worst drafts in terms of ever when you think about, and we'll go through that 2017 draft in more depth too when we recap rounds 3, 4, and 5, and 6 and 7 and all that other stuff. But those first two 1st-round picks, you had Mitchell Trubisky, Adam Shaheen. When you had Deshaun Watson available, you had Patrick Mahomes available. Then you take a look at round 2, and you had George Kittle available. You had so many others, and like I said, Bears aren't the only team that passed up on George Kittle. He was a 4th-round pick. I get it, but if you knew you were going to take a tight end, if tight end was a need for you, how do you fuck that up? Obviously. He had the measurables,
right? It was Shaheen he's a big guy, and he can run. They were like, oh, baby Gronk.
And, Greg Olsen was another name that stood out for me. He was a great tight end in the NFL.
Yeah. He was great for us.
He was great on the Bears.
Unopportunity. He would have weird. It was like he had like 2 or 3 seasons where he just had like game crushing fumble, but he was amazing. He was a top 5 to 10 tight end.
He didn't fit the offensive scheme that Mike Martz wanted to run.
He didn't throw to the tight end like that.
So they traded him. And I'm just like,
huge mistake because him and Color had some chemistry too. But Greg Olsen could play. I like Greg Olsen, and he's like the nicest guy too. He's such a nice guy.
He's probably the best commentator that Fox has in terms of NFL games.
I like him.
I love his.
Yeah, I like Greg Olsen too. I like Romo a lot. Romo gives really intricate like quarterbacks like he'll say some dumb shit like when it pertains to other stuff, to like the defense or something. Like, okay, like, but he'll be telling like he knows what play they're gonna call. He's like, all right, watch, he's gonna check the fucking a run play right here because he showed him like. So that is what I really like about Romo. But Greg Olsen is great. He was an awesome Bear. I hated to see him get traded. I was so fucking pissed about that because, like I said, Mike Martz was just a stain on our the Bears have just had some terrible coaches and GMs, and like it started with us fucking firing Lovey because he didn't do anything. Like it was like fucking a curse upon us.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, looking forward, we take a look confidence meter wise. So after I give that, and we obviously know Ryan Poles is a different person. Kevin Warren, also new president. Give me your confidence level because Ryan Poles' track record so far, he's only had one draft, hasn't been the best either. Obviously, want to give him some time, but with Kevin Warren being added into the mix on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence meter that this Bears front office can turn it around and actually build a roster with some talent in this draft and free agency period?
This one coming up, I'd say 6. But moving forward, I feel more like an 8 or a 9. And more so Kevin Warren than
Ryan Poles.
Because if Ryan Poles starts fucking up, I know Kevin Warren's gonna get him the fuck out of there and get somebody that he likes, that he knows, you know what I mean, he's got connections with, and it'll be his guy. So then I know we're going to be fine after that. But I think Pole's been doing all the right things. You know what I mean? He's, I say 6 just because, like, I don't see how anybody could fuck this up. We got the number 1 pick in the draft. We don't need a quarterback. It's a quarterback-heavy draft where 10 teams need a quarterback. So we're going to get a king's ransom, and we also have $100 million to spend. And like I said, we're in prime market, especially for defenders. We need defenders, and we're in a prime. You know what I mean? Our city loves the defense. If you're a defender and you take pride in playing defense, you probably at least thought about being a Bear at some point. And so I think he's got that working for him. I just think a fucking idiot couldn't screw this up.
And it's not just that too. Like if you're a free agent, right? Some of the best fans, and obviously I'm biased because I'm a Chicago Bears fan. But, you know, even if you talk to, you know, other players around the country, even our most hated our most hated rival in the world, Aaron Rodgers, loves us as fans because we're some of the most passionate.
Yeah, we're fun because we'll give it and we can take it. Yeah, we give it even when we're losing. Like that's why I said we were talking about the last episode. It's just like they need to throw caution to the wind because when the Bears are doing good, they're worth a fucking $100 billion. So be good, and then it won't matter what the fuck money you're spending and even when we're bad, they run the city. The Bears do good. I mean, especially with Justin Fields, all the games were packed, and we were in a 3-14 season in a known tank job. And still, the fans showed up and showed out, and they'll continue to do so. And so, yeah, I agree. I know, of course, we're biased, but I do think the Bears have at least, you want to rank it amongst football, top 3, top 5 fan base. We lived it. I don't really like, especially there's just not a lot of super toxic fans, in my opinion. You got a few guys, you know what I mean? Justin Fields detractors every now and then, but that's any fan base. Every fan base, 30% of the guys aren't going to like your quarterback unless you got Peyton Manning. So, you know, when we had Jay Cutler, people were hating on him. It's like, who the fuck are we going to get? Like, we just had Rex Grossman. You were playing about Jay Cutler? Like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing, too. Just like when you take a look at the Bears' history with quarterbacks, you know, it amazes me that there's a lot of I understand why there's a lot of Justin Fields detractors out there. But as a franchise that's been starved of a franchise quarterback, a true franchise quarterback, why would you not give him the benefit of the doubt? At least see where this goes for a couple of years, because what other options are there for you? You can't reset. You haven't had a franchise quarterback since the 60s.
I wouldn't say the 60s. Like, I think Jay Cutler was a franchise quarterback. I just think we weren't a well-run organization at that point. And the team was just a little – but I thought Jay Cutler was a franchise quarterback. But
I love Jay
Justin
Cutler.
Fields is something different than like Justin Fields is a potential MVP is what I'll say, and we ain't never had nobody even close to them like that. Like on offense in general, you just read the list off with maybe a fucking like we haven't had any. Maybe Matt Forte, you know, he had some whispers at one point, like, but he's a potential MVP. He's got game, and it's like, what are we grading these college quarterbacks on? He would, if Justin Fields, you plop Justin Fields in the draft right now after his fucking senior year, he's going number 1.
Yes.
He's not getting, none of these guys are getting picked before him. So it's like a pointless thing where it's like, you guys are just mad that he had a bad season, and Justin's a quarterback, so he just is going to get the brunt of it. So they're going to, he can't throw. That's why we lost. It's like we lost because their team sucks, and they were trying to lose. Like, that's why we lost. And every game we won was because of Justin Fields. And every 100%. Game we almost won was because of Justin Fields. Like, no game that we were even in was or anybody else besides Justin Fields. So they just can't be watching. You're watching the same game as I am. Like, yeah, he makes bad throws. What quarterback don't? You watch fucking Patrick Mahomes play against Joe Burrow. There's fucking 15 bad passes in that game. Yeah. Like, it's football. They throw, like, these guys throw bad passes.
You brought up Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. We'll transition a little bit. We'll do a quick recap of the championship rounds, and then I got a couple of notes here for just some other news. We'll go over real quickly. Philadelphia beating San Francisco 31-7 this past weekend. Philly's D-line was dominant again. I mean, that Philly defensive line is scary. They are absolute monsters. Brock Purdy needs Tommy John surgery. He has a torn UCL.
He went back in the game. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
Right, he's
I like that a lot.
He said he couldn't throw the ball further than 10 yards. It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him. He's going to be out at least 6 months. He's getting a second opinion, though. But with this Tommy John surgery, that brings Trey Lance back into the fold as a starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers next year, which takes a quarterback off the market in terms of a trade. So this is going to help the Bears in the long run. I
don't think Trey Lance. I'll disagree with you there. I don't think Trey Lance is off the market, and I don't think he's now back in the, like, no matter what happened, Brock Purdy, short of winning the Super Bowl and throwing for 300 yards, Trey Lance was going to get at least a shot to be, like, you know what I mean? It'd be him and Purdy going head to head for the number one, but with him also being on the trade block, him and Purdy, and whoever somebody gave us some for first, we'll take the other guy. But I don't. Yeah, this can be weird. Trey Lance, Purdy. I just don't know how to grade. It's just I think so.
I don't think he's ready. Shanahan. I don't think he's ready for next season, though. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's so,
yeah.
So you're
that's
saying
what
Trey
I'm
Lance
saying.
is just going to have to play?
Yes,
but they could still just keep Jimmy if they want. I mean, I don't know. I think
they're not going to pay Jimmy G $25 million.
You think that's what he's going to get?
Yes.
You think somebody else is going to give him that? Where?
Yes.
I don't know.
Atlanta, Tennessee, Tampa Bay.
Maybe Tennessee, just because I don't know if they want to go into a rebuild, or Tampa Bay, the same reason. But I don't think
the Jets if they lose out on Aaron Rodgers. There's
I don't know. I'd roll with that. Mike White.
No,
I think Mike White.
Realistically, when you think about it, for a starting quarterback of his caliber, he's not the best, but he's also not the worst. He's not the top tier where you're going to make $30 million plus, but he's a top 15 quarterback in the league.
I'm not saying he's not worth that. I don't know if he's
$25 million.
I'd have to see the list. He's not top 15.
He's top 15 in the league.
No. Yes. We have the Kyle Shanahan blinders on where it's like Brock Purdy looked like a top 15 quarterback in the league. Like, I don't know. Like, Jimmy G's not a top 15 quarterback. He's not. He's the second best game manager in the league. I think he's an amazing game manager. He's and I do agree. The Jets, you put him on the Jets, they're a playoff team. Throw him on the Titans, they're a playoff team, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl because he's going to choke down the stretch. But
this is an argument we'll have another time when we have more time, because I want you to name me, and I'll give you some time. I want you to name me the 15. I want you to name me 15 better quarterbacks than Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we'll do this next week.
No, I don't need time. I'll go Kirk Cousins, A-Rod.
No, stop.
Kirk Cousins is shit on Jimmy G every year statistically.
Oh my gosh,
it's not even close. I don't even like Kirk Cousins. I think he's Kirk Cousins has shit on Jimmy. Like, go look at Kirk Cousins' career stats compared to Jimmy Garoppolo's. A-Rod for sure.
Right. So Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers,
Tom Brady. So nobody else in the NFC South. NFC East, I think Dak's better than him. Jalen Hurts is better than him. I won't say Danny Dimes, but it's close. I would say after this last year, I don't know if I'd rather have. Jimmy G doesn't do anything. Not Mac Jones. Josh Allen, for sure. Who else is in the NFC East? Not Tua. No, he's garbage. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I can't. I need to see. We'll keep going.
I'll give you till next week.
No,
I'll
I'll
give
pull up a
you
list.
till
I
next
just
week.
can't think of. I'm having a. Oh, I have a list of the quarterbacks somewhere because I was doing that Would You Rather thing. Let's see.
Until you do that, well, until you find
I'll
out, I'll
keep
just
going.
move on
Yeah,
real quick.
yeah.
All right. So Kansas City wins 23-20. Refs for garbage, trash the whole game. Is that the reason Cincinnati lost? A lot of people are saying Cincinnati lost that game because of the referees, but I disagree with that. I don't think you should have a game if you don't want the referees to determine the outcome of the game. It shouldn't be that close to begin with. To
Yes, I don't
determine the
think.
outcome
Yeah,
of the game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you there. That one there, anybody that plays football, yeah, it might feel like that in the moment, but no one play. Like if you played the whole game, you probably could think of 10 plays that you fucked up. That you know what I mean. If we're talking about one play, it did hurt. We were just talking about that. It was just really weird. For the life of me, I don't understand why they let them punt the ball. Like it does not make any sense to me. Like the replay I saw it was clear as day. He ran out there way before they snapped the ball. But I don't understand why they let them punt the ball and keep playing. I'm like, so when they got the ball, I'm like, what the fuck happened? Was there like a roughing the punter or something? Like
I thought the same thing
confused.
too. Or I thought they were gonna go for it on fourth down, like they were just replaying fourth down or something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's insane. The refs were bad. They were terrible. There was a ton of missed calls that should have went against the Kansas City Chiefs. But at the same time, that's not the reason why Cincinnati lost the game. Joe Burrow threw 2 picks, and I'm the biggest Joe Burrow fan out there. I love Joe Burrow. I'm a Joe Burrow, he's amazing in my opinion. He's quarterback 2 in the NFL. That's just in my opinion. But that's not the reason they lost. Joe Burrow threw 2 picks.
Yeah.
There were some dumb penalties on Cincinnati that the refs did end up seeing. And let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes, and I have this written down, I'm asking the question. We obviously know he's not the greatest. He's not the GOAT because Tom Brady's the GOAT. But is he the best quarterback you have ever seen? And by best, I mean, is he just overall position of quarterback, talent, everything that includes, is he the best quarterback you have ever seen?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I love Tom Brady, and he is by far the GOAT. But, I mean, Tom Brady's not even like the top 10 like skill wise, like throws, and he's just like I said, the GOAT. He's a technician. But yeah, for sure, Mahomes is the best quarterback by far. And it's not just talent as well; it's just like imagination. And he's got like a good example of me is he reminds me if you mixed Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre. He plays like that, like all the talent in the world. He's very technical, but he's got like you would never see Aaron Rodgers get tackled and fling it like fucking to the running back. Like that's some shit Favre would do all the time where like he was just almost fall. He just fucking throw it to the running back, like didn't even care. Like that's crazy. And it's like that would be something you would chastise anybody else for, but he's Patrick Mahomes. And yes, he is. And I think winning the Super Bowl is so hard that I don't think he'll ever be able to win 7 like Brady, but I do think he's going to go down. Like he'll always be up there and everyone will know that he's better than Brady, but he'll just never be able to do what Brady did in this league.
It's like the LeBron Jordan comparison.
Yeah, I agree. I get example. Like I try not to hate on LeBron too much, and Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but fucking like this thing coming up with, he's about to score the most points. And now it's like Kareem Ben had the most points. Karl Malone had more points than Michael Jordan. They weren't the GOAT then. Why the fuck does score the most points matter now? Like, if that made you the GOAT, Michael Jordan never would have been the GOAT in the first place. Like, if score the most points, he's got it. And it's just winning. And and Mahomes has got that too. There's a lot of competition. Like, Joe Burrow's got that same killer instinct in him. Josh Allen, he feels like he's got it. I mean, he just keeps coming up short.
The AFC is in very good hands.
I mean, Lamar is eventually going to come back.
Justin Herbert.
Yes, Herbert.
Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, damn.
Yeah. It's so that
speaking of Burrow and Mahomes. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't really have to say anything. Go ahead.
Is this the next Brady Manning?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I just don't know who's Brady and who's Manning at this point yet. We'll find out here soon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically, right now Mahomes has the lead because he's got a ring.
He's got one. But did Manning have one before Brady or no? No, he got one after. Yeah.
Brady got 3 before Manning got
one. Manning got one. I thought he might have won one in between.
No, he had 06. So Brady.
06. Okay, I thought it was 5.
06.
Yeah,
and 2000 and like 15 or whatever.
Oh
With the
yeah, yeah,
Broncos.
and
Brady
Brady
had
won like
oh
01,
one,
oh
oh
02, and oh
two,
04 or
and oh
something. So,
four.
yeah,
Yeah. So he
yeah.
it's
So
gonna
yeah,
be. I mean, it's gonna be a
it's gonna be
great
crazy
rivalry.
to in 10 years from now when we see their numbers. You know, what I mean, next to like guys that were like the fucking best, and we were like Brett Favre, and even Peyton Manning. Like they're gonna shit on all these guys' passing numbers. Like, and like we were talking about in the last episode, they just don't throw interceptions anymore either. Like I was shocked
No.
when I saw a stat. I was like, oh, Dak Prescott's leading the NFL in interceptions with 16. I'm like,
Yeah, but
that's
you
not
also
even that
you
many.
gotta remember about Dak though. He missed like 6 games.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. There was, but not everybody missed 6 games, and nobody had more than 16. Like that's
Yeah,
great.
but Dak probably would have had in the 20s if he
20, you think so?
played.
Yeah, yeah, he
Oh
probably will.
yeah,
But we'll say 12. We'll give him 20 at that pace. But even that
but
20 is still
still,
low. Is low for like I said, what we grew up for. Everybody like half the quarterbacks in the league would at least have 15 to 20. So yeah, these guys, this next generation, these guys are amazing.
oh
Um,
yeah,
I don't
freakish
think
athletes too,
I don't
man.
think it's something like not how you get mesmerized or like, oh, these guys are just better now. Like there's running backs back in the day I think who could play now, but like these guys, these quarterbacks are something different. Like I don't the it can't even compare it. It's like it's so crazy that Mahomes like is gonna get like 3 Super Bowl rings and Brady's got 7, and you just see these guys standing next to each other and the
Yeah,
amount the talent difference is like that's why football's the best. It's not all like it's not
it's
about
not all about one individual player.
yeah or your talent level. It's about fucking going out there and fucking fighting for it.
So I got a couple of other tidbits just around the league news wise. Two extremely important coaching hires happened today. D'Amico Ryan signed a 6-year deal with the Houston Texans. They are giving up a compensatory pick to San Francisco. It's going to be a 3rd rounder. And Sean Payton was traded to the Broncos today. Saints are getting the Broncos 2023 first round pick that they got from Miami
This
in
year,
from the Bradley Chubb trade. And they're also getting next year's 2nd round pick. The Broncos in return are getting Sean Payton and the Saints 2024 3rd round pick.
wow.
Yeah. So the D'Amico Ryan's hire, is that a good hire? Do you like that hire?
I like it. I was pretty surprised. I think he got a 6-year deal, which is a lot for a first year for your first contract, right? Even for any quarterback or any coach's contract being 6 years. So I'm happy to see that. Like I like to see people are giving them a lot of crap because they didn't give Lovey or that guy before a real shot. But it's nice to see a young black coach, especially a defensive coach, get a head coaching shot. Usually you got to, especially for the younger guys, you got to be a fucking offensive, white or black. You got to be an offensive whiz to get that early head coaching job. So I'm happy to see it. I was reading that people were saying the Texans job is highly touted. I don't know why they don't. Their roster is pretty ass.
It's the draft picks. It's the draft capital they got over the next 3 years. They got 6 first rounders. And just 6 first rounders in the next 3 years. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And they got some money coming up. Once they're not going to keep Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is going to be traded somewhere.
Yeah, I just think it's not a destination. So it'll be like they suck, and people don't necessarily want to go play for the Texans. So it'll be hard for them to get free agents.
Yeah, but I think now with the D'Amico Ryans,
did he play there? Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
Watt.
Okay, so maybe that's why too.
I think he'll be a player's coach. I mean, it seems like the San Francisco players kind of like them on the defense. What kind of got me though was with this Broncos thing. The only reason why the Broncos traded for Sean Payton was because D'Amico Ryan signed with the Houston Texans. Denver Broncos #1 coach that they wanted was D'Amico Ryans. As soon as the ink dried, not even before the ink dried on the D'Amico Ryans hired, is when they announced and went ahead. I
thought he came out and said he didn't want to go to the Broncos. I thought, like yesterday. I don't know. I wouldn't go to the Broncos either.
So as soon as D'Amico Ryans signed that contract, they're like, okay, Saints, here's a first and 2nd round pick for Sean Payton. I think it's a good hire for Denver. I think it's a good hire for Russell Wilson. I think Sean Payton will work with Russ. Obviously, Russ won't be what he was in Seattle. I don't know
why it can't be. I didn't realize when you were saying, I didn't realize how young he was. He's had a bad year. I'm sure the altitude change, what I mean? They say it probably doesn't matter, but I'm sure it was. New scenery to be in somewhere your whole career and then going somewhere new.
Yeah. So, I mean, 2 good hires. Good, franchises are in good hands with those 2. We'll see what happens. You ready for a little factor cap?
Sure.
All right. So with the salary cap, we talked about it earlier being reduced from initial projections of 120 million down to 92 million. I asked factor cap. This will indeed change the Bears' free agency offseason planning today?
Um, I'll say cap. I don't think it's going to change it. Like I said, I think it's kind of had the effect on everybody. And what is there to change? We need everything. Like nothing can happen. Is going to really change what the hell the Bears are going to do unless like Payne, McGlinchey, and fucking Hargraves all get franchise tagged. That would be the only thing I'm worried about. But I just don't see that. I don't think Payne's going to. They're deep on the D line, so he's going to. I think they're just going to have to let him walk.
Well, with that, I mean, I'm going to say fact for this reason. The jump from 120 to 92 is realistically two big name free agents because you figure roughly 15 million a year. So you could have signed two more big time free agents with that 30 million that you're losing. So I say it's going to change it a little bit because instead of possibly getting 4 or 5, 12 million plus guys, now you're probably looking at 3 15 to 20 million guys, and then the rest filler just to kind of fill out the roster because there are a lot of holes. Yeah. So I think it's going to change it a little bit, not slightly. You're still going to get who you want, like the top 3 guys that you absolutely
That's more so
want,
what I meant. And like I said, everybody's lost. Like everybody thought they were going to have 30 mil more, and they all have 30 mil less. So it's not like it changed for us, and everybody else is still going to have what they had. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be the amount we pay. Like you said, we just can't go all in and be like, I'll give him 12 mil, him 12 mil, him 12 mil. We're going to have to pick and choose.
Number 2, Velus Jones was quoted as saying that he bought a jugs machine this offseason to work on his hands. So I ask you, Factor Cap, you actually like the initial motivation he's showing to get better this year, and you think he'll break out next year?
I don't know. I would say cap to the word breakout. I think I like to see that he's taking some steps and up in his game. I do think he'll be on the roster next year. I think he showed some flashes that at least get him in the return game and, a screen here and there, 4th wide receiver, 5th wide receiver, get some touches. But I don't see breakout. I don't think he's got that. He wasn't even that in college. He was just a gadget guy who made big plays. So there's really nothing to break out to.
Interesting fact is that today, Senior Bowl wise, Velus Jones was with Luke Getsy, Ryan Poles, and Matt Eberflus at the Senior Bowl practice today. I don't know what he was doing there. Maybe he was just working, getting in some more work, with the college kids, whatever. But
kissing Getsy's ass.
Yeah, just a little.
Saying his good graces.
I'm not gonna say he's gonna break out like you say. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of cap. I think he'll improve gradually.
Yes.
His hands are, they seem like at times they were just made of stone. I'm really hoping that, with this jugs machine, I don't think he needs to be fucking around with the jugs machine. I think him and Justin need to get together and, work on some routes and stuff like that, get some softer hands. He'll definitely have a better season next year, but breakout, he's going to fall too far down on the roster in terms of depth chart to have a breakout role unless somebody gets hurt. Number 3. We talked about, salary cap. So the Saints are projected to be $55 million over. The obvious choice for a cap casualty is Michael Thomas. So I ask you, Factor Cap, with him being a cap casualty and the Bears having so much money to throw around, Michael Thomas will be a Bear next year.
I didn't know they were that low. I'd say fact. I don't see the D-Hop thing working out. I think it's on him where he wants to go. And I think there's going to be too many pass-heavy teams that are going to want his services. And if it's up to him, I like Justin Fields, but I'm sure he's going to want to go where we're going to be dropping back 35 times a game, throwing his head the whole time. I'm hoping Justin Fields can maybe fly out there, get in his ear, recruit, but I don't see it happening. So, I think Michael Thomas is what we're going to have to go for. So I just think, like you said, we're going to end up with a lot of our first choices. And I don't think there's really any other disgruntled wide receiver we can really go get besides him or D-Hop. And there's none to draft, none in the free agency. So we have to go. Like I said, I've been talking. I think Michael Thomas would be a good idea. I don't know how much he makes. Guessing 18 or something like that. If I had to guess, 20.
Realistically, I want to say fact, but I think it's going to be kind of like the D-Hop thing. If he becomes a free agent, he's going to have his choice of anywhere he wants to go. But I also think he's going to want to get paid, and I don't see a lot of teams giving him $18 million for him sitting out 2 years. You know what I'm saying? The Bears at least have the opportunity to take a flyer. Like, hey, here's a 2-year, $36 million deal. That way, that money still comes off the books in a couple of years. It's a low risk, or high risk, high reward type of thing. But a name to look out for in free agency that's growing on me on that wide receiver market. I'm hearing rumblings that, Jacoby Myers is a name that they're going to be looking into only because, he's not, I don't think he was as bad as people are, going
I
out.
don't
I
think
don't
he's
think he's
bad.
number
I
one.
don't know.
I don't think he's a number one, but at the same time, if you can't have a true number one, you might as well have 3 twos. You ready for a little would you rather free agency edition?
Yes.
All right. So these are just relative positions to what I feel and what you feel are Bears needs. So I'm just going to ask you right off the top. Would you rather Darren Payne or Javon Hargrave?
Um, I guess Darren Payne.
I would agree with you. Just age-wise, he had 12 sacks this year. He seemed like a disruptor.
He's just going to get like a max. I think Hargraves will be a lot like more bang for our buck. But
would you rather Tremaine Edmunds or Lavonte David?
Tremaine Edmunds.
I would agree with that too.
I think he's better than. I think he's better. He's just younger, faster. I mean, David's got but Edmunds is go sideline to sideline. He's huge too.
You said this name earlier. Would you rather Devin Bush or Jamel Dean?
Devin Bush for sure. I mean, I'm sure we need a corner, but I think, like I said, I think Devin Bush is good.
Now, would you still want Devin Bush if Eddie Jackson is there and we have our safeties full? Because doesn't Devin Bush play safety?
No, he's a linebacker. He's an interior linebacker.
Oh, okay. Would you rather 3 running backs here, Saquon, Jacobs, or Tony Pollard? Take everything into account.
Tony Pollard, if I know what you mean. If I'm taking everything into account, I think Tony Pollard's going to get way less, but a lot more down to reality offer. I don't want Josh Jacobs. If we're going to get Josh Jacobs, I'd rather pay David Montgomery $12 million a year because I like him and he's not way worse than Josh Jacobs. And I think that's a good thing to do for team building wise to know that if you put in the work, you're a hard worker, you play all your games. Well, you know what I mean. If nobody's better, you know what I mean. It's a business, but if we can, like I said, if it's Josh Jacobs or you, we'll stick with you. You know what I mean? If Saquon want to come play, it might be a different thing. But
well,
skill-wise, I want Saquon, but I think Tony Pollard will be like 2 year, you know what I mean, something sweet. Jacobs and Saquon want big term, $16, $18 million a year or something stupid.
My thing is and that Tony Pollard was my choice in terms of running back free agents. I said that weeks ago. If Dallas doesn't re-sign him or franchise him, I think Tony Pollard definitely fits the bill for what the Bears are looking for, and I think you get him at a 4-year, $40 million deal. I think because he hasn't been a number one yet, but if you give him the opportunity to, you pay him $10, $11 million. He's definitely got a higher ceiling than David Montgomery does. But the man averaged 5.5 yards per carry this year, over 1,000 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he split carries with Ezekiel Elliott. Like that's the kind of production I'm looking for. And you can't say Dallas's, offensive line was 100 times better than the Chicago Bears offensive line in terms of run blocking, because it wasn't. The Bears were the leading rushing team in the NFL. And
I would say they could just competently pass, so you can't stack the box on that.
All right, so last one. Would you rather Yannick from Indianapolis or Marcus Davenport?
If you wouldn't have read those numbers off, I probably would have said Davenport, but I would say Yannick based on the stats. I don't know what was going up with Davenport. I just think Yannick's just a pass rusher.
He's not kind of what we need, a little bit on the edge.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Yannick too, and not just the sack number wise, but also because he's already been in Matt Eberflus's defense.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So he's got that Matt Eberflus connection. And I think when you take a look at it, that's probably high on his list going into free agency. Matt Eberflus is saying to Ryan Poles, hey, this is my boy from Indy. These are his numbers. We need this guy on our roster because I can, turn him into this kind of player every single year, production-wise from a production standpoint. And I just think that's going to be, Matt Eberflus has to have a little bit of input, talking to Ryan Poles about what he wants on his roster, because Ryan Poles can sit there and be like, I'm going to pick the best player in free agency. I'm going to pay this guy $20 million, this guy $20 million, this guy $20 million. But realistically, if it doesn't fit Matt Eberflus's vision on defense or offense, what they want to run, what's the point? Like it's kind of like what you were talking about with the Cincinnati offensive line rebuild. They just brought in a whole bunch of guys and threw them all together. It's like, here, fucking make it work. And
Yeah,
it didn't
block.
work.
Yeah, just
You
didn't.
know what I'm
Joe
saying?
Burrow. I was actually reading Joe Burrow said he takes a lot of sacks on third down because it doesn't matter. I was watching him do an interview. He's like, if I don't get the first down, who cares if I took a sack? He's like, some of the sack numbers are inflated because I don't take bad sacks on like first down. But he's like, on third down, if it's 3rd and 8 and it's not there, he's like, I don't think I'm going to fumble. He's like, I don't need to throw it away. I'll just take the sack and punt the ball. Who cares? Like, but again, you're right. He's just all over the place. That line wasn't that good. They were, I'd say, average, and they went out and got like the best 2 free agents, drafted a guy. So I think it's more philosophy. Like your coach, your offensive coordinator, your head coach, you got to be like emphasizing like getting all these guys in the room together and working on it, not just the whole line, because it's the quarterback and the running back being in tune with the whole line, and then you could just be perfect.
Well, that's why I think the relationship between Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus has to be they have to be on the same page when they go into the draft and they go into free agency. They have to have that communication. Ryan Poles has got to, get into Eberflus's head and vice versa, and they got to be able, hey, this is why I need this guy. This is why I need that guy. You can't have one thinking that they're going to outdo the other. You can't have Ryan Poles picking somebody that, let's say Ryan Poles picks goes out and gets a 3-4 outside linebacker or whatever, that maybe Matt Eberflus is like, this guy can't play a 4-3 DN or a stand-up DN.
I think he is going to do something like that. I remember seeing Justin Fields win an interview last year saying Poles had reached out to him and said, hey, you know what I mean? I want you to go scout these wide receivers, go look at them, and you tell me who you like the best. And some of the late round guys, he's like, you know what I mean? He told Justin, like, I might be 2nd, 3rd round. I'm not trading up for anybody. Tell me who you like out of these guys. And he fucking told him Bellis Jones Jr. But we'll keep that in mind. We keep Justin out of the fucking draft room. But I think Poles has got that in his head where he knows that, like, I can keep these guys in the loop. Football isn't just picking the best player. It's like fit, relationships, you know what I mean? Guys who like each other play better together. And that's why, like I said, I think Michael Thomas is a big possibility. He went to Ohio State. They got Justin Fields and him. They didn't play together, but they got similar ties. When you go to Ohio State, you go to Michigan, you go to Alabama. You all go back there in the summer. You're showing up the same alumni dinners. You know what I mean? Urban Meyer was their coach. Things like that. Their buddy. You know what I mean? I'm sure they got some kind of connection, and that's why I think it's a high possibility if Jackson Smith falls, that Poles trades up in, because him and Justin Field actually did play together, and they actually, like I said, much closer in age. So I bet you know what I mean? I'm sure Justin's going back there to watch the games this year or last year, same shit.
Yeah, because Michael Thomas is 30.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is probably his last. This is probably his last, opportunity for a decent contract.
Yeah, so maybe he won't come to the Bears. I mean, yeah, he might probably maybe wherever Aaron Rodgers goes or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something too. Moving forward especially after the Super Bowl, guys, let me tell you, after the Super Bowl, you're going to get sick and tired of hearing us talk about free agents and draft, because when he says that he lives the draft, it's been like this since fucking high school. I'd go over to this man's house and he'd literally have the fucking combine playing on the TV. And this is before the combine was readily available on ESPN. This was a direct TV, like exclusive, where they were just NFL Network talking about the fucking draft combine and showing.
Oh yeah, that's
he
the best.
Was watching that shit.
It's unmatched. I wish the ESPN they should do something like that on their app or something. Because I'm sure NFL Network's even better. But like the TV, when the week of the combine on the NFL Network is amazing. They're just talking about that shit all day. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And before we close it out, I got 17. Well, I think it's 16 quarterbacks on this list: Kirk Cousins, A-Rod, Tom Brady, Dak, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Herbert, Russell Wilson, Mahomes, Deshaun Watson.
Wait, time out. Russell, so you would take, just speaking in terms, you really think Russell Wilson moving forward is going to be a better quarterback?
Yes, I would take him over Jimmy. I'm not going to take one bad year. That doesn't negate everything he's done. Jimmy G didn't do anything this year either, and he sucked when he was in there.
Okay, but continue, because I'll argue this point next week. I'll come back with this next week.
Mahomes, Watson, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, T-Law, Justin Fields, Derek Carr. What?
You're gonna say? Oh man.
You think Justin Fields better than Jimmy Garoppolo?
In the future, absolutely. If we were talking a draft to have somebody for the next 7 years, then absolutely. But right now, Justin Fields is not a better quarterback than
Do you
Jimmy
think
Garoppolo.
we would have won more than 3 games if Jimmy Garoppolo was our quarterback and Justin Fields wasn't?
Maybe.
No, I don't think so. But again,
But you're not going to pay.
Justin Fields is low on my list, though. I didn't say like he's like the last.
But you're not going to pay. You're right now. You're not going to. You would much rather give 25 right now with these stats. I would much rather give Jimmy Garoppolo $20 million than Justin Fields $20 million. Like,
I don't like Jimmy G. So again, I said it before we even did this. I said I thought 25. I said 25 mil was a lot for Jimmy G. I just think he's mid. Like, I don't think he's that good. He played on the Patriot. He played basically on the 2 best coached organizations in the NFL. And then one was under Brady, and then like I said, Kyle Shanahan just made Brock Purdy look like he wasn't the last quarterback drafted in the draft.
I get it. But if you're looking at, career numbers wise, and system quarterback, okay, I get it. But as a quarterback, you still have to make the reads. You still have to make the throws.
I just think he's not top 15.
And completion percentage wise,
and Goff. And like I said, Goff is a question mark, and he was at the end. But I think Goff has got a bet. Like, he almost won the Super Bowl and fucking had an MVP caliber season. Like, Jimmy G's never had an MVP caliber season and never gonna have one.
Jimmy G is slept upon. So his winning percentage, yes, I know organization-wise, his winning percentage is great. His touchdown to interception ratio is great. His completion percentage is great. Like, he's got intangibles. The only knock on Jimmy G is he can't stay healthy.
No, but his yards per game aren't good. His touchdowns aren't good. He's just got low interceptions, and he doesn't throw. That's it. Like, he doesn't throw for a lot of yards. He doesn't throw for a lot of touchdowns. He's just a smart quarterback. Like, he is good. I'm not saying the guy's terrible.
Can get paid $36 million. You're going to tell me that Jimmy G's not worth 25?
I'm not. He is worth 25. I'm not saying he's not worth 20. I'm saying, like, I wouldn't pay him 25. I know what he's worth. He's probably gonna get more than that because that, like I said earlier, like, if Deshaun Watson doesn't go to the Browns, Baker would have a $40 million contract right now. Like, it's the market. Kirk Cousins got 36 because the Vikings going to give $36 million to come play quarterback on the team? They didn't. I'm sure they'd rather have Josh Allen if they could for fucking 45. But
all right, well, realistically, you had 16 with a couple of question marks. So technically, there's a real possibility that Jimmy G.
Well, the only question mark I have is Goff. Like I said, I guess you could put Fields. Fields was the last one on my list. But Goff was the only one I put a question mark on. Like I said, I just think Fields is better. Like, I think if you put Fields on the 49ers, he would do better than Jimmy G did. That's what I think. Like, I don't think Jimmy G's bad. I think he's going to have a nice second half of his career where he's going to make lots of money to fucking choke in the fucking divisional round or some shit. But he's an Illinois boy. So, like I said, I don't want to talk too much shit about him. Obviously, he got game. I just think he's not a top 15 quarterback. He's just a game manager. And like I said, I think Kirk Cousins is better than him. He gets way more yards than him every year. When has Jimmy G ever been like even like a Pro Bowl quarterback? Like, they just fucking like Huntley just got in. Fucking Jimmy Garoppolo never got in.
That's the biggest shitty deterrent fucking reason. I don't understand. I can be voted to the Pro Bowl. Tyler Huntley had 2 fucking touchdowns all year, and he made the fucking Pro Bowl.
I'm assuming they're calling people, and they're like, no, I don't want to go anymore. Dude. They need to make it fun again. They need to do a quarterback competition like they used to. Just take the game out of it, or like a 7-on-7 where they do like the NBA does, where like you pick fucking Mahomes and Josh Allen, and they pick their team, and y'all go out there, or do Mahomes, Josh Allen, fucking, and 4 best quarterbacks. They all pick their team, and you do a 7-on-7 tournament or something, or a flag tournament or something. Yeah.
I like the quarterback. The quarterback thing, like the
who can throw the longest, the obstacle course. That was
one.
I watched just the highlight of it from it was like Drew Brees, Payne Manning. It was like 10 times more fun than the actual game. It's like, why they stop doing that? And I think
they looked like they were all having fun.
Yeah, I think the guys wouldn't mind go out and doing that, having their kids out there doing all that shit if that's what they're doing at the Pro Bowl. But I think they need to do something like that. Bring the race back, of the 40-yard dash race back. When they stopped doing that, everybody's afraid to get hurt now. It's like, that's why, because you never want to do anything.
But that's all I had. I thought this was a good episode.
Yeah, me too. Like, follow, subscribe, everybody, please. Especially if you made it to the end, please. Like, you watched this video and you did not like it, I hate you. But yeah, like I said, good episode. Super Bowl next week. We'll obviously talk about that. But after that, it's gonna be all off season, all Bears draft. But let us know in the comments what you think. If you don't like our free agent picks, we should the draft, all that good stuff. And I'll see you later, buddy.
All right, have a good one.
Adios.